Hi guys, welcome to my new video. Please pick a pile, 1, 2, 3. Hello group 1. I hope you like the little Christmas village we have going on here. So I pre-shuffled and pre-pulled cards, and I've got this really cute flower deck that I wanted to use. This is, here's the book. It's the Flowers Oracle, and you pick a flower. And so the flower that we got, number 26 is the rock rose. And the message for you here with this really pretty card is to leave chaos and panic behind, to rediscover your capacity to dominate the situation. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Courage returns and you will resolve the emergency. You are sensitive and delicate. Remember that you can also be strong and courageous. So that was really interesting because when we talk about like strength, we tend to remove being soft from that, but it's actually not soft to require help or to ask for help or to reach out. It's actually strong. It's a sign of strength. It's a sign that like you're doing something that's actually really difficult for you to do, because if it wasn't difficult for you, you would have done it. And so this card tells you to leave the chaos behind, and it's true. It's like there's nothing there for you. There's just more chaos. And so with these cards, I went with the, what is this called? The Enchanted Forest. I'm going to figure out how to put these up. So what we got was the same message, of course, the Fairy Wind, which is the Chariot traditionally, and it's a card about going, it's about leaving, it's about movement, it's about getting on that chariot, or here in this case the fairies blowing in the wind, going where the wind takes them, and they're like, one of them, the one at the front here, is like looking back, but not looking back in a unsure way, but just having a glance, like, yep, that's where I was at, but this is where I'm going. And look at this convoy of fairies ahead, like they're all really happy to flutter out of there. And then we have in this deck, it's called the Child of Boons, which is the Page of Pentacles. And so that is, if we look at the imagery here, like this kid, this Hansel type character is about to step into the gingerbread house, or about, which kind of cute because it kind of goes, I feel like it goes with my little village here, or about to grab a biscuit or a sweetie or whatever off of, or shall I use more American language, about to grab a cookie or a piece of candy off of the wall here, and just going for it. Like there's no hesitation here, because it's sort of like this innocent, like young energy that just kind of takes a step forward and like makes a small step, but the point is that there's a step forward. That's the point. And then we have the Ace of Challenges, it's called here, which is the Ace of Swords. And this is like, is this a raven or a crow? But it's not black, and it's like white. I'm not really not sure what that means, but it just sort of looks like it's saying strike while the iron is hot. That's sort of what it's saying. And the Ace of Swords is about just clear, direct communication. It's about the truth being told. It's about illumination, clarity of mind, and it's a 1. So it is the first step again in the right direction. And for our angel message, we have answered prayers. So your prayers have been answered. Whatever you prayed for, whatever you've wished for, whatever you've worked towards, whatever you've hoped would come to you, but you weren't sure if it would come to you as exactly as you'd wanted, or if you wondered if it might come to you in a different way, or you know, sometimes what we ask for, we don't actually get it. We get like something else. We get something else, and you know, I mean, you know, one way to look at that is like maybe the thing that you asked for really wouldn't have done you any good anyway. So the thing that you did get is actually what's in your highest good. For example, sometimes plans don't go to plan. Like sometimes you'll you'll have a, you know, a planned trajectory in mind or a course of action in mind, and despite your best efforts, it just won't come to pass. However, you know, a way to look at that is actually to say, well, actually, it was probably not really for me, because whatever is for you doesn't go past you. You know, you wind up where you need to go eventually. But this card is a little bit different from that. This card is very specific, and it says your prayer has been answered. So exactly what you wanted is coming, and you know what? That sounds good to me. So I'll take that too. Thank you very much. And I picked a couple of these healing mantra cards. So these are mantras that you can repeat to yourself. So we have embracing worthiness, and this card says to, I don't know if we can actually see this. It says, I feel worthiness filling every cell of my body, and it feels amazing. And so, yeah, I think if we go back to like the Rock Rose card, where it talks about, you know, finding strength where we felt we had none, and just clearing out the chaos in our life, because although, you know, it takes a lot of strength to handle chaos and to repeatedly deal with chaos, at the same time, chaos can actually be quite comfortable, because you're used to it, it's what you know, and escaping it or finding another path or doing something else can actually be a challenge. It can take great inner strength to just pull yourself out of what you've known. And so to do that, you really need to know your worth. You need to know that you're a person of great, great value. You need to know that you're loved more than you can imagine, that God loves you, that all of your angels and passed on loved ones and everybody that you can't see loves you, and people who you can see who are with you love you too, and they know your worth. So you need to know your worth. You need to allow that to fill every cell of your being and body, and acknowledge that it feels amazing, and acknowledge that you deserve nothing but the best. You deserve all of your prayers to be answered. And if you need a little help from the fairies to help blow you along on your way, you know, you can get that too. And this card says, embodying my soul. And it says, I have a right to be excited, which is very interesting. And it kind of goes along with this, like, you know, if you are praying a lot, if you really have hopes and dreams of something else, it's sort of saying that, you know, where you're at right now isn't exactly where you want to be. And sometimes it's hard to let yourself be where you want to be, because you don't realize that you have a right to be excited. You have a right to be freaking happy. You have a right to be filled with joy, filled to the brim with joy, not just like the occasional, you know, ounce of joy here and there. Like, you have a right to full on freaking excitement all the time, the excitement that a little kid has at Christmas. And so those are your messages, group one, whoever chose this cute jumper here, sweater. And yes, go after the gingerbread house. I wish you well, and I hope you enjoyed this message and it was useful to you. And do let me know in the comments if you enjoy this type of content, and if you'd like to see more. Thank you very much. Hello, pile 2, whoever chose this very cute Christmas tree over here with all these lovely baubles, ornaments on it, and lovely star at the top. It's very tall. It's taller than the houses in my Christmas village. So let me start with a flower card, and the card that I've pre-shuffled and pre-picked here is Willow, number 38, and the book says, Self-responsibility makes you free. You feel that you can sail your ship even with headwinds. Complaining will get you nowhere. Find the right strategy and strength to move on. Bon voyage. Very interesting. So yeah, you feel that you can sail your ship even with headwinds. That's interesting. So let's see what angel card we have here. Ooh, focus. This is a good card. I used to pull this card a lot last year. And this card, actually, I'll read it from the book for you. But this card really asks you to pay attention to what you think about and that your thoughts are a choice. And I'm just going to read it from the book as well because I think that they describe it very well with it being their own card. So I'll show you the image. It says, think about what you want, not what you don't want. Guard your thoughts carefully because they create your experiences. Sometimes it seems that our thoughts choose us, but this is never the case. We always choose our thoughts every moment. Our thoughts always have an effect, and there are no neutral thoughts. 1/2 second before you hold a thought, you decide to hold it. So with practice, you can learn to monitor and alter your thoughts. This is the equivalent of putting your hands on the steering wheel of your life. And that's interesting that it talked about the wheel because the Wheel of Fortune card came out. In this deck, it's called the Enchanter's Wheel. Why did I say wheeled? And so with practice, you can learn to monitor and alter your thoughts. This is the equivalent of putting your hands on the steering wheel of life. You may believe that your concentration abilities are impaired, yet the infallible mind of God is within your own mind. You can experience remarkable feats of concentration by affirming, I am now able to focus my mind at will. I hold only loving thoughts, and my angels act as my gatekeepers in establishing a steady stream of thoughts of love. So I hold only loving thoughts, not hateful thoughts, not angry thoughts, not resentful thoughts, not what the fuck thoughts, no, just thoughts of love. And it's okay, the thing is, it's okay if your emotions come up that, make you make you feel sad or make you feel angry or resentful or disappointed or whatever, that's fine. But it's important not to hold them as beliefs, it's important not to hold how you feel as a belief, because that really can change the course of your life. Like it can flip the wheel of fortune upside down, and you can find yourself really down and out simply because you believed the wrong things. Like you chose to hold on to like really negative thoughts and beliefs, and those led your actions. So before I go into those cards, I want to look at these healing mantra cards. So these are mantras that you can repeat to yourself if you find that they resonate with you. So here we have allowing appreciation, and it says, the value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it. Yeah, and there's another wheel here. Well, pay attention to wheels this week, I would say. That's another place where you can place your focus, because, when you have gratitude, you feel better. Like you could be doing really well career-wise, financially, and, you could have all of these Instagrammable moments where people, like your content on Instagram or whatever it is. And yet you don't feel that you have that much, value in your life, because you don't really appreciate what you have because you don't feel good about it. Like it's not really about what you have, it's more about how you feel. You could have everything, but you don't feel great. And you could have very few things and actually feel wonderful. So the value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it. And that goes down to like, appreciating things at the smallest level, like appreciating that, lovely cup of coffee, appreciating that cool breeze when it was really hot as shit outside, just tiny little things where you can go, oh, this is really nice. And you'll feel much better because, again, it'll shift your focus off of what you don't like, off of what's not going well, and turn it around for you. And then we have amplifying abundance. And it says, abundance is my birthright and I receive it now. And that kind of goes along with the Wheel of Fortune as well, because, you know, life is cyclical. And although we're taught that life is linear, you know, it's just not true. Like, you don't have to have done this by the time you're this age. You don't have to have gone down this route from the age of 18 onwards. You know what I mean? Like, everybody gets to where they're going in their own way, in their own time, through their own method. And regardless of what it looks like on Instagram or what you think life should be like, it really isn't linear. In fact, very few people's lives are linear. Very few people go from this to this to this to that to this to that, you know, to the grave. Like, it's just not how it seems. And even if you are doing well, you know, that wheel could turn and then you could not be doing well in an instant. And it's not your fault. That's just life. And so it's really important, again, to shift your mindset from how you think things should be and then focusing on why you're, you know, not where you think you should be at. And, you know, thinking negatively, to replacing all those thoughts with loving, wondrous, appreciative, grateful thoughts, and acknowledging that abundance is your birthright and you can receive it now. You don't have to do this or do that or do the next thing to get it. Abundance can mean anything. Abundance doesn't have to mean like financial abundance. It can mean emotional abundance. It can mean, you know, an abundance of joy. It can mean an abundance of whatever it is that you require, whatever it is that lights your soul up. That's what's abundant for you. And you don't have to have completed this phony, fake, linear path that we've been programmed to believe is true in order for you to receive that. No, it's your birthright. You can receive it now. You can be ecstatic right now, okay? You can get the abundance that you need right now. You don't have to first do this and then do that and then do the next thing. Whatever you need is available to you right now. Find a way to get it without telling yourself that you have to wait or you have to do this thing or you have to do the next thing or any of that bullshit, because it is bullshit and it's not true. And so for the cards, we have the Empress. Here she's known as the Green Mother in this Enchanted Forest deck. And we have the Eight of Boons, which is the Eight of Pentacles, and then we have the Wheel. I'm going to put it this way around. So the Eight of Pentacles talks about working really hard, but in a way that perfects your craft. So it's not sort of like working yourself to the bone, thanklessly, but it's more like diligently just getting better and better at something. And it also talks about doing well financially, simply because you're following your passion and you're just becoming the best at it. So if you feel you're doing that, then keep on doing that, because it will achieve great results for you. You can't go wrong. If you zip your zipper and button your button, you can't go wrong. This is a phrase that I heard somewhere once upon a time. And then, so yeah, the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune, I mean, I already explained this, but it just talks about, you know, how life is cyclical and it's not predictable. It's not linear like, you know, we're taught. Just because something didn't happen this year, it doesn't mean it won't happen next year. And also, like, I've noticed, like, for a lot of students this year as well, or people who are like younger, who are like, you know, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, like, there's some things that, you know, they feel like they should have been on by now. But in the last 2 years, like, things have been really difficult. Like, I mean, whole freaking countries have been, you know, locked down, and like airports have been shut and stuff like that. And, you know, you've had issues with visas, you've had issues with this, or just in general with coping with life. And you can't add to that this unpredictability, this, you know, the wheel being turned upside down for everyone. You can't add to that by focusing on where you think you should be, and then, you know, creating this sort of benchmark that doesn't exist, and comparing yourself to this benchmark that doesn't exist, because it doesn't exist. And truthfully, like in 5, 6, 7 years' time, when all these kids are in the workplace, like nobody is going to bat an eyelid at, the time frame between 2020, 2021, 2022. Nobody's going to be like, oh, why weren't you doing this? Or why didn't this work out? Or how come you had to stop and do something else? Nobody is going to ask about that, because, like, unless they're an asshole, like, nobody is going to ask about that. People are just going to just be aware, and they're just going to know, like, that was a time when things were messed up for everyone and things just did not go linearly, which things don't go linearly in any case for most people, but in this particular period of time in our history, things have definitely not gone linearly for people. So, let's just forget about that altogether and focus on working on what you can work on, what drives you, what you feel passionate about, what like lights you up, what people observe about you, like when they say, oh, you're really good at this or you're really good at that. What are they talking about, and work on that if it feels good to you. And then we have the Empress here, which is a card of the nurturing mother. It's about fertility. It's the divine feminine energy, and this applies whether you're a man or a woman. Like we all hold. This is unfocused, and there's like cute hedgehogs here. I'm trying to focus this card, but I should put the lights on, shouldn't I? Can we see the hedgehogs? Think so? Okay. So yeah, we all have this divine feminine energy within us, and this nurturing presence, this ability to embody this natural abundance that is God given to us. Like the Empress knows her value, she knows her worth. She is abundant by birthright, like look at everything around her. She's got all of these woodland creatures just like surrounding her, and this little child holding on to this lock of hair, and this luscious hair she has in her head, and it's just this nurturing energy. And so you can project this outwards to other people, but you can also nurture yourself. And it's really important to remember who the fuck you are, okay? Because the Empress never forgets who the fuck she is. No matter what happens in life or what's going on, the forest could fucking burn down around her, and she would not forget that she's the Empress. She wouldn't think that she was Cinderella all of a sudden and that she deserves nothing and this is what you get. Like, no, that would never happen to the Empress. Because she knows her worth, and that's unshakable within her. Yeah, I mean, this is going off, I guess, on a little bit of a tangent, but with regards to the Empress and knowing your worth and who you are, like I'm not on socials anymore because it's all, I mean, it's all fake. There's nothing real on there. Even people don't post the truth about their lives. They just post what they want you to see. Like you never see the truth about their lives until you actually like meet up with them in person, and then you find out the truth. But on socials, you'd never find out like what's going on. And so I'm not on socials anymore because there were many things that were affecting me about my Instagram timeline, which I have to say I was actually really addicted to. I would look at it first thing in the morning. When I woke up, I wouldn't even be able to wake up without looking through my Instagram timeline. And I'd look through my Instagram timeline before going to bed, like rather than, listening to some nice music or, just winding down gently. No, I'm like flooding my mind with fucking nonsense. And even though I had my timeline set up to like reflect really only the things that I wanted to see, like I'd actually figured it out, still it was just filling my mind with nonsense. Like for instance, if I want to pull like these kind of cards and see what they have to say and work on that, like I can do that. But like if my timeline is flooded with inspirational phrases and spiritual content and stuff like that, but then at the same time it's also flooded with like, people who I like to follow, like celebrity wise or whatever, so I'm looking at all these fake images. Like they're literally the best images that they have. They've got full makeup on. Everything is like done up perfectly. They've got all this lighting on. They're sucking their tummy in, like, you know, posing in poses that make them look really good. But in reality, if you actually saw them, they don't actually look like what they look like in these posed pictures. And not only that, but none of those people, literally none of them, have their own natural looks that they were born with. They've all had some kind of tweakments, some kind of something going on. Even like fitness influencers who are out there showing you like their tiny skinny waist that's like somehow super toned and super defined, but at the same time they have a giant bum and giant boobs. Like that is actually not physically possible in reality. So if you're like looking at these images thinking, oh, if only I would do the workouts that they recommend that I do and all of this, then I would look like that. No, you'll never look like that because they have implants and they get there's a treatment called cavitation, and it's not even surgical, it's non-surgical, but it's like a thing where you can get done where it just makes you look more like, it makes it, you have more like muscle definition. And there's also this thing called etching, which is, it's a surgical procedure, but it's a very minor procedure, and it just like gets, it's not like lipo, but it sort of does the same thing. It just takes away like tiny little bits of fat here and there, which naturally would never go away on their own. And I mean, I'm talking about women here, but it applies to men as well. They also have these things done. So if you're just watching these images all the time, and even if you aren't consciously comparing yourself, subconsciously you're going to be comparing yourself in one way or another. So we're out here and we're comparing ourselves consciously, unconsciously, not realizing what we're doing, looking at timelines, looking at linearity, looking at appearance, looking at bullshit, listening to other people's fucking motivational phrases. Like, just because it's motivational in the moment, it doesn't mean that it applies to my life. And then the thing about motivational phrases and comments and all of these things is that, the reason why you get like so surprised by them, or you have these, Oprah calls aha moments where you're like, oh, whoa, yeah, I never realized that, is because these things are not integrated into you, into your aura, into your full being. So every time you see it, it's a shock, it's a surprise, but you don't actually take it on board. It's not viscerally felt because it's not a learned experience. You have not learned that experience and you haven't integrated it into yourself. So really, it's actually pointless to look at all of these things all the time because it won't make you a better person. It won't make you grow. It won't develop you in any way. You can only do that by doing the work by yourself and loving on yourself, being deeply nurturing to yourself, and doing the things that make you happy and that bring you joy and that are actually important to you. And what's not important to you is looking at a timeline full of lies. Everything in the timeline is a lie. Like, it just is. That doesn't make anybody happy, and it doesn't help you achieve any of your goals. It just doesn't do anything for your self-esteem, and it's not truthful. And so if you're going to focus on anything, focus on the freaking truth, and at the same time send yourself only loving thoughts and project yourself into the future in a loving and kind way, not in a way where you're already attributing failure to yourself simply because you're not aligned to some bullshit linear model that doesn't exist, or circumstances beyond your control have changed the trajectory of your life temporarily. Do not focus on that. Like, only good things are going to come to you. Believe that, and that will be the case. And I really have gone off on one here. What did this say? Abundance is my birthright and I receive it now. So let's close with that. And if you're going to say anything or do anything before you go to bed, don't look at your timeline. Just say abundance is my birthright and I receive it now. Good night. And thank you, Pile 2, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content, and let me know if it's useful to you and if you would like to see more of these in the future. Thank you and good night. Hello, group 3, whoever picked Santa's lovely quote here. I hope you like my Christmas village, so I thought I'd just do a quick little reading, although Pile 2 was not quick. It went on for 20 minutes. And so I'm going to start with a flower oracle card. So I've pre-shuffled and picked this card for you, which is number 8, Chicory. And look at that, isn't that beautiful? So I'm just going to read from the book what this is about. Number 8. It says, you can feel it. You are loved. You can let everyone remain at the right distance, no longer being offended by the ungratefulness that surrounds you. Good golly. The unconditional love you give is returned hundredfold, and all is at peace. Wow, what a message. And for our angel card, we have blessings. And this is about blessings coming in for you. And actually, I'm going to read from the book too, because they write a really, their messages are always really nice in this Doreen Virtue deck. So it says, God and the angels are helping you right now. Continue to ask for their help and then accept it when it comes, and it always does. The angels want you to know that you have extra blessings around you right now. Perhaps you have recently experienced some challenges, or maybe you are currently asking for extra help. Either way, the angels surround you now with more divine love than ever. Additional angels are with you, giving you an added cushion of love and light. Sometimes you may feel as if God and the angels have abandoned you. This card seeks to remind you that they are not gone and that they cannot leave you ever. It is only our fear that makes us blind and mute to the presence of our angels. Yet your angels can lift away your fears if you will ask and then let them. You are truly blessed and very, very loved by God and the angels. Yeah, you are. It's a really beautiful message. So let me move into this healing mantra deck. Sharing shame. And it says, when I share my deepest pain, I give myself permission to be. This is really interesting because it talks about, the blessings card talked about if you feel like forsaken or abandoned, and it wants you to know that that's not true. When we don't share our deepest pain, when we hide it, what we're doing is abandoning ourselves. That's what we're doing. It's almost like if you like put those feelings of your deepest pain and you like send them outward, like project them into like an imaginary child in front of you. You could even imagine your younger self, like you as a 5 or 6 year old with the same deep pain, and they're talking to you saying, I'm feeling this right now, and this has happened to me, and this has made me feel like this, and whatever. And can you imagine yourself just turning your head and like looking the other way and ignoring them? You can't imagine yourself doing that because you would never do that to somebody. You'd never do that to a little child, no less. And so if you do that to yourself, when you hide your pain and you don't share it and you don't believe that you're worthy of being listened to or having your pain shared, or if you think that's a burden to other people, all you're doing is abandoning yourself. Like you're doing that to yourself, and you mustn't do that. Like that's an action of just like deep shame. It's almost, you were probably shamed as a child about having negative emotions. You're probably told that only positive emotions are acceptable. And yet here we are, human beings, we have all of the emotions. We don't only have positive emotions. So to shun half of yourself and to ignore half of yourself, half of your emotional body, is to abandon yourself. It's to say that I don't love you and I'm not going to acknowledge you. And that's not okay to do that to yourself, because God loves you and your angels love you and the people around you also love you. And if you would share your pain, you would be able to see that. Like you'd be able to see that, yeah, they do actually love me, and I shouldn't have held on to this burden for so long thinking that I would be burdening other people. It's not a burden to other people, because people love you and they care about you and they want you to feel better. They don't want you to sit and suffer in silence. So give yourself permission to be, and being isn't just being happy all the time, as social media would show you. And that's what I went on about in pile 2, where I spoke about how everything you see on socials is not true, because you don't see people's pain on socials. You only see their joy, their fake joy, no less, because it's never usually as joyful as it seems. It's just fake. Everything on there is fake. And it makes people feel more isolated and more lonely than ever, because you think to yourself, oh, well, I feel, this and that, but, other people are doing so well, so I won't burden them. It's not true. Nobody's doing well. Everybody's fucking lying. Okay, so you need to start by being authentic and allow everyone else to be authentic around you too. And if they aren't going to be authentic, if they are going to make you feel rejected or abandon you or ignore you, well, they're not worth your fucking time. And that's good to know. And then the next card we have here is Polishing My Heart, which says, feeling is a power that helps me heal. And by the way, like when I pull these cards, like they're just random shuffles and random pulls. And yet, look at this. Every pile is told like the same freaking story. All the cards have linked together. And so it says, what does it say? Feeling is a power that helps me heal. And this is true, because you can't heal if you're holding on to hurt. Like, think about it. You're holding on to hurt. How can you heal? You're holding on to hurt. You're holding on to hurt. How can you heal? You can't heal if you hold on to hurt. It's like if you have, in fact, like my cat just had like surgery 3 days ago. He had a cyst taken out. And when I went to the vet first, I was like, what is this? She's like, I don't know what it is. I'm going to have to take it out. She's like, we could do a biopsy, but at the end of the day, it's pretty big and it's going to have to come out anyway. And, you do a biopsy, like, they stick a needle in, like, she's like, I might draw out not the thing that's actually important. Like, so it's really not, it's not that big a deal. Just cut it out. And I was really concerned about that. And she's like, just cut it out. So that's what we did. And these creatures are so tough. Like, they're not like humans. They're just unbelievable. Like my guy here, Hunter, he's just such a super champ, like just unbelievable. And I had to put a t-shirt on him because when he came home, he had to wear a cone and the cone just wasn't working. So I put a little t-shirt on him and he's looked so cute for the last 3 days wearing a t-shirt, so they wouldn't, like chew at his sutures or like try and, lick his wounds, which is what people do. And when they're, which is what you should do. You should lick your wounds when you're not feeling well. You shouldn't just allow them to fester. And so the point here is like, you can't heal if you're holding on to hurt. Like, how can you heal if you're allowing something to grow within you that shouldn't be there? It needs to be cut out. Let it out. Tell someone, just fucking do it. Do it now. Like do it right now. The reading's over. It's done. I don't even want to look at these cards, but let's see what they are. Okay, so interesting. We have the Three of Pentacles, and look at this lady here. She's like putting together some kind of magic potion. Like you can see she's sprinkling magic dust into it, and there's a crow or a raven there writing out a note. It's almost like this raven is like writing out their deepest thoughts. I don't know what they're writing. And she's like cooking up like a little potion here, a little spell, and what has she got, like is that an elf there in the background helping her out? Now the Three of Pentacles is about coming together and working together to build a solid foundation. That is traditionally what the Three of Pentacles is about. And then we have the Two of Pentacles. So we've got this guy balancing two heavy weights on either side, and and look at this. You got to pay the toll. If you know, you know. It's from Always Sunny. You got to pay the toll. So we've got a troll under the bridge here, just waiting for this guy to drop one of these baskets and to lose his balance and to topple over. Like, isn't that terrible? That's pretty terrible. And this guy really could do with some help, actually. And then we have the Forest Lord, which is the Emperor. And usually, the Emperor is a good card. It's the Divine Masculine. However, since it's reversed, this talks about a toxic masculine. Like, there could be a toxic masculine in your life. And honestly, every time I think of toxic masculine anymore, I just think about poor Britney Spears and how her life has been put on hold for 13 years. Like, most of us are experiencing some level of our lives being put on hold right now. And except she had that done to her by toxic masculinity, which is to take, which is to not be thankful for what you get, which is to take advantage, which is to there's a word I wanted to use. I was going to say extort, but that's not it. It's not coming to me. But anyway, like, you know, she was made to work under duress. Her children were taken away from her. Her own properties are not even in her own name. She's not even allowed to drive her own car. She was not even allowed to leave her house. She was put on forced medication and all of the above. And this was done to her. But then there came a point where she just thought, I'm done with this and I'm going to speak up now. And as soon as she spoke up, as soon as she shared her burden, everybody felt sad. Whether you care about Britney Spears or not, everybody would agree that this is a gross injustice. And 2 months later, that woman is free. She spoke up and she is free, and Britney gets to live her fucking life on her terms now. And so you can do that too. And I want to read this flower card again because that message was really relevant. It says, you can feel it. You are loved. Okay? And so we return to this about how if you don't think you're loved, you are. You can let everyone remain at the right distance, no longer being offended by the ungratefulness that surrounds you. The unconditional love you give is returned hundredfold, and all is at peace. Yeah, so everything that you put out, and actually number 8 is the number of infinity, which is the number of, which means that whatever you put out is returned to you, and it's usually by universal law returned to you tenfold. So you put out goodness, you're going to receive all of that back. Even if things have been unjust and unfair for you, speak up, stand your ground. Do not let some dumbass emperor tell you what you can and can't do. You're the one who decides what you can and can't do. And your blessings are coming to you now. They are coming to you because you are loved more than you know. So I hope you enjoyed this message, Pile 3. And I would like to know if you enjoy this kind of content, because I feel like it gives everybody a little bit of something, rather than just me rambling on about a topic that I feel interested in at the moment. Yeah, I hope it was helpful for you. So thank you for watching and have a good night.